Welcome to the latest edition of Business Spotlight podcast. I'm joined today by Catharine Pitt of the company Formplay. Catharine has co-founded this company a few years ago with her husband. So welcome to the call, Catharine.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here and to chat with you, Kevin.
Looking forward to it. So let's start with what it is that you do and why you do it. What's your inspiration?
Lovely. Well, we are basically a studio called Formplay, and we create characterful animations for brands and businesses using playful storytelling. And we basically specialize in hand-drawn frame animation, and we launched the business about 5 years ago, and have been lucky enough to work with brands from Google, Comedy Central, Sephora. So we're really really blessed to be in this space, I think.
It sounds really exciting. What intrigues me the most is actually the name of the company. It's called Formplay. Where did the name come from?
Well, we've actually, my husband and I have worked together for about 20 years, and we used to have a full service design agency, and we basically serve the retail advertising market, but we basically burnt out. And it was that crossroads moment where we decided, do we want to do something completely different, or do we want to double down on the thing that we really love to do? And so that's what we chose, to create character animations. And Formplay comes really from a promise that we made ourselves, that we would put play at the heart of our business, because it's really creating a sustainable practice for both yourself and also in the work that you create to sort of power engagement. So hence the name Formplay. We play with forms.
So it sounds as though this is like a massive reminder through the name of your company to yourselves about how you want to approach work.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think, when it gets down to the daily grind, it's easy to get into that cycle of, you create projects, you hit the deadline, you're on to the next one. And I think really it's just taking time out sometimes and nourishing that sort of creativity that is really important. So absolutely, we could staple it to our desks as a mantra if we could. So yeah, it's really important to us.
Well, it sounds like it. And going back to your history, you saying that you'd worked in the industry for some time, you got to burn out, as many people do. You rethought, you reevaluated how you do what you love, because clearly, what you do, you're passionate about, you're talented with, and something that you love. But it was really important to rethink the model of it. I can imagine there are lots of business owners. Well, I don't need to imagine. I know there are lots of business owners for whom the risk of burnout or burnout is prevalent. It's always there. And this sense of having to do things or have to do more, especially if the business is not quite where that wants it to be. How has this change in approach for the two of you actually impacted on, how you love what you do, your levels of engagement, those sort of things? What's been the biggest impact in this sort of change of thinking for you?
I think I would say the biggest impact is just being able to control our own time. I think a lot of burnout, well, certainly for us, came from the fact that we were on this it's almost where we had committed to certain projects. We had to keep the business going financially, as far as you create a service for somebody, you deliver it. But actually taking time out to really niche and double down on what we love has meant that we can be much more in control of who we do work for, and therefore in control of our time. We're very much engaged for our expertise now, rather than more of a broad level service.
I think you made another important point there about, having more space to choose who you work for, because again, often businesses feel that they've got to take the work that's available, food on the table kind of mentality. But clearly, your approach is very different. How does the concept of play and fun sort of manifest itself with when you're kind of introduced to your clients, or you're working with your clients for the first time, or talking to prospects? How would it show itself?
Well, yeah, it's a really interesting question because I think it's such a multi-layered area. I mean, I guess people come to us initially because they're drawn to the playful characters. And they also come to us with a problem. So we obviously look for ways that we can provide a solution to that. And that's obviously first and foremost. But, you know, we try and always push people to go beyond the obvious. So typically we will give them as initial sketches or initial ideas what they want, but then we sort of fall back on our mantra, which is saying, what if, you know, what if we try this? What if we just push this a little bit more? So I think from a client facing view, we really encourage, you know, clients just to be a little bit braver with their creative outputs, and take a risk on us as well, because obviously, you know, they're taking quite a chance, you know, putting their trust in us. But I think also from our perspective, when we're scheduling things, you know, we try and build in a little bit more time for that exploration, for that time where, you know, we can, you know, look beyond that obvious and just say, well, what are the other options? What will make more impact for you? You know.
I think it's almost as though you're respecting what your customers and clients are looking for, but also recognizing that when they're trying to address whatever problem is they want to address, they're going to have some limitations in their thinking. If you lighten, if that's the right word, the whole discussion, and find the space and the time to start being a little bit more creative, then actually one can end up with a better solution, one that more suits their needs, if it may, you know, present itself as slightly edgier characters in their cartoons, that in turn, I suppose, attracts the attention of a wider audience, or holds their attention longer. I think it's a
Yeah,
really interesting concept.
yeah, absolutely. Because I think, you know, we're all, you know, especially in today's media, we're all facing, you know, a barrage of images and messages. You know, we're very much all taking inspiration often from the same pools. So I think, you know, it's very good to just explore beyond those, really, so that the client's messages stand out above all the noise. So there's a real value to taking time and exploring beyond the obvious. But also I think, you know, this concept of play, it can be quite misleading, because, you know, the immediate association is with childhood and child's play and you know, frivolous, I guess, frivolous and fun. It's that sort of no goal in mind, you know, no end goal. But I mean, really for us, it's kind of finding that balance between a sort of witty play and a very, you know, perhaps a more sophisticated play than perhaps, you know, childhood glee kind of play. So it's really sort of tuning into what the client's audience is, you know, what message are they trying to project to their audience, and just exploring the possibilities.
I think what I find interesting in all of this, you mentioned that it just then, you alluded to it, that play is often associated with childhood. It's almost as though we're taught that, you know, once we've grown up, in inverted commas, you know, play isn't really something that's appropriate anymore. And you know, when people go into business, they obviously do it for serious reasons. You know, it's a replacement of their income if they've been previously employed. They've got hopes and dreams for it, etc. But one of my organization's 14 points of culture, you could argue perhaps 14 is a bit too many, but one of them is business should be fun. And I wholeheartedly agree with that. And, you know, I think for business owners who are struggling, or just those that aren't struggling, but, you know, they're turning up and doing their job, that we must find space to put fun into what we do, and really enjoy it. And it sounds as though you found the solution for the two of you in doing that. Where next for the business, Catherine? Have you got plans for growth, or expanding, or diversification?
I mean, we've always shied away from growth as far as numbers. I think we really love what we do, and we don't want to become managers, which is always a risk, isn't it, when you have that sort of growth. You know, we're really blessed to be able to work with freelancers, so we can work in teams when we want to, and when we want that kind of camaraderie, I suppose. But really, it's just continuing exploring animation. I mean, we just really love creating characters, creating animations, just playing with the possibilities. And I think, especially in today's landscape with, you know, AI and other, you know, virtual reality and augmented reality and all the possibilities, there's huge amounts still to learn. So for us, it's just getting better at what we do all the time and leaning into that. That's what excites us the most.
So what is magical about that response is there is no firm plan, but if you play with the concepts, if you learn, continue to learn and see how things develop, then it will set its own path. Essentially, it will find its own way.
Yeah, let's hope.
I think that's a brilliant place to end this conversation. Thank you very much, Catherine. It's been fascinating talking to you and listening to your story and and what it is that you love doing, what inspires you. So thank you for joining us on the call today.
Not at all. Thanks, Gavin. It has been fun. Thank you.